Hello and welcome to NFL Experts. I'm Dave Crossall. I'm joined here today by Louie DB. How you doing, Louie?
Good.
Alright, so today our last position thing for our draft, then coming up after that we got our mock drafts. Then we'll jump into the schedules just a week away from being released after the draft. But today we're going over the cornerback videos. So our top 5 quarterback rankings. So here we go. Number 5, Louie, why don't you kick us off?
Number 5, I have the corner out of Mississippi State, Jonathan Banks. Had a slow 40 time on the combine, which really kind of hurt his value. I think he's a good second-round pick unless someone wants to trade back in, or a team like the Atlanta Falcons could use a big physical corner after losing Grimes and Donta Robinson to go along with Asante Samuel. They could use another guy. He's a very physical corner, big guy, and improved at his pro day, and I think he's a second-round pick.
Yeah, well, a lot of people at first saw Banks going to the Colts at, I believe it's 24, but like you said, due to that combine, Banks is on actually my 4 guy. Number 5, I have Poyer out of Oregon State. I think he's kind of underrated. I mean, definitely below these guys, but I could see him going maybe second, maybe third round. How about you for Poyer? I know you are a pretty big fan of him yourself.
Yeah, I had him in my top 5 only because I've discovered some other corners. I really like him. I think he's a third-round pick to me because he's in the class to me in the Jamar Taylor class out of Boise State, and a guy that I'll mention in a little bit, DJ Hayden out of the University of Houston. He's this is the year of physical corners. They're very big corners, and to me, Poyer is probably the best interception-wise. He's the best with the ball. I'm in that group, and I think he's probably a third-round pick. But my number 4 guy is DJ Hayden out of the University of Houston. Had some injuries, but really the big-time player in that defense. Had 4 interceptions last year. Big physical. He can do press or off coverage. Mike Mack likes him a lot, that's where I discovered him, but I like him in the second round or late first.
All right, yeah, so like I said, my number 4 was Banks. And number 3, I believe you agree with me, Desmond Trufant out of Washington, I believe he goes to. So, what are your thoughts on Trufant?
Desmond Trufant's really interesting. He's obviously the brother of Marcus Trufant from the Seattle Seahawks and Isaiah Trufant from the New York Jets. Very physical corner, really improved on this, really had a great senior bowl, a lot of great big-time tackles. This is the guy in my mock draft that I had going to the Atlanta Falcons, who need a corner. He's a little bit undersized compared to the other corners, but he's a big-time player, and I really like his aggressiveness on the front of the line of scrimmage. And I think he's a first-round pick.
Yeah, well, Trufant, like you said, I mean, where he really got discovered was the Senior Bowl in Alabama. I mean, he was just outstanding there.
Yeah, it's hard to get recognition like when you're such a low. Washington hasn't been good really since Locker, and he was pretty much that defense. And a lot of these corners are coming out of not really big-time colleges that have had much success this year, and they were pretty much their whole defense, defensive secondary-wise.
All right, so number 2, I have Xavier Rhodes, and I believe you do as well. So Xavier Rhodes, hold on. To go back to Desmond Trufant, I see him going in the first round. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I like him at the Atlanta Falcons in my mock draft. That's where I have him going. I think he's a great fit there. And if not there, I think maybe you could see. I mean, there's some people that like him in Baltimore, but I don't think they need corner at 32. But I mean, there's a lot of spots that he can go, and I think he is a first-round pick.
Yeah, I think he might also go to New England.
Yeah, that's another place. To me, it's Atlanta.
Don't rule out Indianapolis. So.
Yeah. So there's a lot of spots he can go, but as for Xavier Rhodes, really big guy. Florida State had some good defensive players this year, and Rhodes was really handling that secondary well. A lot of people say that he could move to safety with his physical attributes. I think he goes in the top 15. I like him to the Miami Dolphins. So top 20 for sure, definitely. I like him in the top 15. I think he's a great fit with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Miami Dolphins, but you never know with the Darrelle Revis trade talk with the Buccaneers. They might be moving out of that 13th spot.
Yeah, I definitely think he'll be going to the I think it's a really good chance he'll be going to Miami.
Because they lost Sean Smith, so you got to replace that physical corner.
Yeah, they brought in a lot of things. Obviously, free agency. Probably their biggest defensive signing was Ellerby, but they really need help at corner. I mean, where's the next place to go right now is the NFL draft.
Exactly.
So then number 1, obviously, both agree. DeMarcus, I don't know, Milner, whatever you want to say. Out of Alabama.
Milner, I think, is better. Last year, their number 1 corner coming out of Alabama was Drake Kirkpatrick. D. Milner's way better. I think he's a top 5 or 6 pick. I like him at 6 to the Cleveland Browns. Very physical corner. A lot of people were questioning his speed, but came out of the combine and ran an impressive 4.5, so that's not really a question mark. Great tackling ability, had 2 interceptions, so not mainly because the ball wasn't thrown his way. So I like him to go in the top 6, and he's going to be a great corner in this league.
Yeah, well, when I was listening to the first draft podcast with Todd McShay and Mel Kiper Jr., they said that, I really didn't know this, but Milner, apparently he was a huge prospect coming out of high school, and then he went to Alabama, and now he's a huge prospect coming out of Alabama. Coming out of Alabama. So now, he's a top 5 pick.
Oh, yeah.
Well, maybe 6. But he's definitely a top 6 pick.
Because you could definitely argue that he can go to Detroit with that secondary that they haven't fixed in forever, but other people are saying that they lost Averill. Right. They lost Vanden Bosch and Averill, so you might see them go Ezekiel Ansah or Jarvis Jones.
Yeah, what do you think of Ezekiel Ansah? Because
he's got raw talent, but he's only been playing football for 4 years. And at the college level, he only started like 10 games.
So, I mean, yeah.
Very raw talent, but I think the Lions could form him into what they want him to be on a veteran defensive line with Ndamukong Suh to really help him develop.
Yeah, I know a lot of people like him, but a person named Emery Hunt we had on our live show really just does not like him. So.
But he makes a good point. He says, really, you're drafting a guy in the top 5 to be a starter and to be an impact player. And honestly, I don't think Ansah's going to be right off the bat, day 1, going to be flying all over the field and making big-time tackles. I think it's going to take some time. He needs to sit behind a veteran defensive line. So that's going to be interesting to see where he ends up. But if the Lions, back to the corners, if they could lock up a guy like D. Milner on that one side, then you can focus on maybe trading back into the round, maybe get a pass rusher like Bjorn Warren. It depends on where you want to go with it. Because at the second round, the defensive line really weakens after the first round. It really drops off. So they're really going to have to choose wisely. And obviously, that people are saying that they could go offensive line as well.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for today's NFL Experts Draft Preview. Doing our top 5 cornerbacks. Make sure to check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/NFL Experts. Follow me at DB Sports Talk and Dave at Dave Crest Sports.
Yeah, we'll see you next time for our mock draft. And we also have a live show coming up this Friday. So we'll see you then.
Yep.